Your blaring alarm goes off. You reach for it with your $400 smart ring you bought a size too small. No worries, you'll lose some weight. After all, that's why you bought it. It's the perfect summer morning, the type they name lo-fi songs about. It's brisk, but not enough to make you outdoor shy. It's inviting like a cold touch on warm, flushed cheeks. Your alarm judges you with a 6:30 a.m. on its face. The time you committed to yourself, your ideal self, to go for a run. You've been good about tracking your mileage, your zone 2 cadence, optimal for fat loss, but now it's time to check your sleep score. You squint at the blinding 70 out of 100 score that hits you like a faceplant into a pool. You didn't think you'd score this low of a grade since high school. You didn't think this was a test, yet you feel guilty. You scold yourself. Why did I have those Trader Joe's fake Takis so late at night? Because they're delicious, that's why. Your elevated heart rate and lower HRV point deduction were worth it at the moment, but now you're facing your past self's mistakes. It's now 6:34 a.m. and before your feet hit the ground, you've already lost. You scan your body as you dig your head into the pillow. You notice you aren't aching for a yawn. You actually feel kind of fine. Maybe you can actually go for a run. No, you must not. Bad sleep is like the new smoking times 10, and it's good for your recovery, and you must protect it at all costs. So you set a new alarm, 45 minutes out, to get that score up. As you put your phone back on your nightstand, next to your empty Takis bag, you get a brief voice of clarity questioning. Did I just let my ring dictate my morning? Lights out. Relief won out. But there's a nagging sense of shame. And this time it's not from the unused stationary bike in the corner. You let the ring give you permission to act against your interests. When did the tool I bought to push me start pulling me the wrong direction? Section 1. If a ring flips, is it heads or tails? You think you slept 8 hours. The ring says 6:42. Both of you are technically right, and only one of you is paying attention. What gets measured gets managed, Peter Drucker said, and he wasn't wrong. You get a clear-eyed status of the problem you're trying to manage. That's what the ring was supposed to do. Show me the gap between the sleep I thought I was getting and the sleep I actually was. Well, Gil, it's not 100% accurate. It isn't. And every different sleep health wearable has its own point system as a proxy that varies based on previous days. That's the sleep score I was referring to. In Aura, it is tallied up by how long you spend in each stage of sleep, like REM or light sleep, how long you slept for based on your heart rate, and how well you slept. There was a version of me who ran before sunrise without asking permission from anything on my finger. Yet now we're here. The ring kept score for me and made me feel better when it was up. It hands you this little crown on top of your score, but quickly takes it away when you deviate downwards. And that feels like a malaise curtain falling over my head while I lie in bed, just missing out a crown by 1 point. That's when the purpose of the ring started to flip from health empowerment to friction against kickstarting my morning routine, which raised the question I didn't want to ask. What if the number isn't even telling me the truth about how I feel? What if it's deciding how I feel? Section 2. Wearables, tech tuxedos on nocebos. Stories are more powerful than medicine. Well, sometimes. You've heard of the placebo effect, white coat environment, give a patient a sugar pill, call it medicine, and wham bam, the patient feels better. Not because the pill did anything, but because the story did. The nocebo is the evil twin. Same trick, the wrong direction. In 2014, a year before the first smart ring was invented, Christina Dragonich and Christy Erdel ran an experiment. handing out their versions of sleep scores to undergrads. They hooked them up to fake equipment, gave them a sleep questionnaire, and then casually told each one their REM percentage from the night before. Above average, you got lucky. Below average, rough night. The numbers they dished out, fake, random. Then they tested everyone's cognition. The students who were told they'd slept well outperformed the ones who hadn't. Not because it was true, but because the narrative baked into their mindset had become reality. While the study was small, it has been replicated, and I didn't need proof of what I was feeling. I needed a name because the thing that the students were given to retcon their cognitive state is the same thing the ring reads back to you at 6:34 a.m. You squint at the 70, the day has collapsed before it started. Was it the delicious fake Takis, the late night, or the 70? Be honest. You know. And it gets worse. A 2017 study out of Warwick asked a basic question. When people say they slept well, what are they actually responding to? Short answer, the top 3 determinants of sleep quality were total sleep time, feeling refreshed upon waking, and mood the day after. In other words, it's a story you assemble after the fact, which means the ring isn't only reporting on your night, it's writing the first sentence of the story you'll tell yourself about your sleep. Once that sentence is set, I didn't sleep well, the rest of the day rearranges itself to confirm. The yawn at the boring sync meeting is no longer a yawn, it's evidence. There's a name for this spiral too, orthosomnia, coined in a 2017 paper after a sleep clinic kept having patients insist they had sleep problems, citing their sleep trackers as evidence of how they actually felt. One patient gets the full lab workup, is told their sleep is fine, but refuses to believe it. The quantified self went too far, and she trusts the thing that's making her feel worse. The punchline is that these devices aren't good at what they claim to do. They can't reliably distinguish sleep stages. They're poor at detecting wakefulness. Heck, mine told me I slept through my haircut last time. I'll take the +3 points to the score, thank you. But you're wrong. They are, in technical terms, guessing. So I followed the frustrating thread. If a number on an app can invent my exhaustion, where did the number even come from? Turns out, at least one of them was invented too. Section 3. The deceptive ichi man. In 1965, in the run-up to the Tokyo Olympics, a Japanese company released a pedometer called the Manpo Kai, translated 10,000 step meter. There's no mystery about why they picked it. It sounded cool. The character for 10,000, Ichiman, looks like a person walking. It's a slogan, an ad. Not a recommendation from a doctor, not the output of a study. It's the vibe, preference, and taste of an experienced ad executive who knows that big numbers grab your attention. And it proceeded to dominate global health for the next 60 plus years. Harvard epidemiologist Iman Lee has spent a decade running the studies the slogan was missing. What she keeps finding is that meaningful mortality benefits show up at a much lower number. Around 4,000 steps, the curve starts to bend. By 7,000, you've captured most of the gains your 2 feet will earn you. But 4,000 is kinda lame, so every app is calibrated for 10,000. You hit 10 and confetti erupts. Little fireworks give you dopamine kisses. Rest up, champ. You're done for the day. The line you cross at 9:47 p.m., pacing around the kitchen in socks while your cat watches you confused, was sketched in a marketing meeting in Japan over 60 years ago. Once you've been Ichiman-pilled, you see it everywhere. The Aura readiness score is a proprietary weighted average nobody outside Aura can audit. The calories counted from your lunch photo on that meal tracking app are also an educated guess. The numbers aren't useless. They're just not authorities. When I aim for 10,000, I spend more time outdoors around the neighborhood, which is pleasant and positively reinforcing. The photos of my meals remind me I'm taking my health more seriously, and I don't need a calorie estimator to tell me the spinach feta omelet I cooked has a lower caloric density than the butter-covered maple syrup-drenched pancakes I buy. A made-up number can still be a nudge, and not a judge. The trouble starts when you start asking for permission. Last section, the permission slip on my finger. It's the next morning. The alarm goes off at 6:30. You instantly check the phone, tap the sleep tracker, and it says 71. Marginal improvement. Marginal absolution. It's enough to skip again, if you wanted to. But you remember the guy who used to just get up. He's still in there. And there's a version of you, a year from now, who will lace up without checking. But only if the one in this bed, right now, on a 71, decides to be the bridge. You make a new rule. The score can earn me a harder day, but it can't grant me an easier one. Let the data make the day worse, in the way good data is supposed to. On the other end, the 70, the 68, the 64, the score is no longer in the permission business. It can describe a morning, it can't decide it. You get up. Your shoes are by the door. Past you did you a solid today. You owe tomorrow you the same. Your cat took over your now warm side of the bed. He'll take it from here, champ. You nod at him in gratitude, but he's already asleep. Enough stalling. You step outside into the brisk, crispy morning, the heavily graded sky and morning quiet before the traffic rush remind you why you started running. You look at the ring. Still on, just demoted. You start running before it has anything to say about it. You decided what the number meant today. You've always had that power.